Days before a family was killed on an isolated farm, strange footsteps were found in the snow, leading toward the house, but according to later accounts, there were no matching tracks leaving. Then the entire household was murdered and the killer was never found. This is the story of the Hinterkaifeck murders, one of Germany's most infamous unsolved crimes. In March 1922, 6 people living on a remote Bavarian farmstead were killed. And more than a century later, the case still has no proven answer. The farm was called Hinterkaifeck, a small, isolated property in Bavaria, about 70 kilometers north of Munich. The people living there were Andreas Gruber, his wife Giselia, their widowed daughter Victoria, Victoria's 2 children, and the family's maid, Maria Buck. It was quiet, remote, and already unsettling even before the murders happened. In the days leading up to the killings, the family reportedly noticed deeply disturbing signs. Andreas Gruber is said to have found footprints in the snow leading from the forest toward the farm. There were also reports of strange noises in the attic, and a newspaper from Munich appeared on the property, even though no one nearby was known to subscribe to it. These details made the farm feel watched before anything had even happened. On the night of March 31st, 1922, the 6 residents were murdered. 4 of them were found in the barn, while the maid and the youngest child were found inside the house. Investigators concluded the victims had been killed with a mattock, a farming tool later recovered on the property. The crime scene was brutal, but what made the case even stranger was what happened afterward. Evidence suggested the killer did not flee immediately. Investigators believed someone stayed on the farm for days after the murders. Animals had been fed, bread from the kitchen had been eaten, and the fireplace had apparently been used. That detail changed the case from a horrific murder into something even darker. Whoever did it may have continued living among the victims after killing them. When the bodies were finally discovered several days later, the investigation was already compromised. Too many people had entered the scene, moved around the property, and disturbed possible evidence. Over the years, multiple suspects were questioned, but no one was ever convicted. The case was officially closed in 1955, yet it remains unsolved. A remote farm, footsteps in the snow, a killer who may have stayed behind after the murders. More than 100 years later, Hinterkaifeck still has no confirmed solution. Subscribe to Hidden World for more facts.